The year was 1960, and millions of Lincoln pennies were rolling off the presses of the Denver Mint. To most Americans, they were just ordinary 1-cent coins, small pieces of copper that passed from hand to hand without a second thought. But hidden among those everyday pennies was a coin that decades later would capture the attention of collectors, spark treasure-hunting dreams, and turn pocket change into a fascinating piece of numismatic history. The 1960 VDB Lincoln penny may seem ordinary at first glance, but its story is filled with unexpected twists, rare varieties, and surprising values that continue to excite collectors today. To understand why this coin matters, we need to travel back to a time when America was entering a new decade. The 1960s were just beginning. The nation was experiencing rapid growth, new technologies were emerging, and the United States Mint was working harder than ever to meet the demand for circulating coins. At the Denver Mint, workers produced more than 1.5 billion Lincoln cents in 1960 alone. That tiny D mint mark beneath the date identified the coin as having been struck in Denver, Colorado. At first, there seemed to be nothing unusual about these pennies. They carried the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image had appeared on the cent since 1909, making it one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. On the reverse was the classic wheat design successor, the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial reverse would become a familiar sight for generations of Americans. Yet behind the scenes, something unusual was happening. During the production of 1960 Lincoln cents, Mint officials modified the date design. As a result, two distinct date styles emerged: the small date and the large date varieties. This seemingly minor difference would become one of the most talked about aspects of the 1960 penny series. Collectors quickly noticed that some dates appeared taller and more spread out, while others looked smaller and more compact. The difference might seem insignificant to the average person, but in the world of coin collecting, tiny details can make enormous differences in value. For the Denver Mint issue, the 1960 D small date became particularly important. While not incredibly rare in absolute terms, it was produced in much smaller numbers than the standard large date variety. As collectors searched through rolls and bank bags, the hunt for the elusive small date began. This discovery transformed an ordinary penny into a treasure worth searching for. What makes the 1960 D small date especially fascinating is that many people spent these coins without ever realizing what they had. Countless examples circulated through grocery stores, gas stations, and vending machines. Some were lost, damaged, or discarded over the decades. Others quietly sat in jars, drawers, and piggy banks waiting to be rediscovered. As the years passed, collector demand steadily increased. The excitement surrounding the coin was fueled by a simple truth that drives much of numismatics: rarity combined with visibility. Unlike obscure coins that few people recognize, the 1960 D small date could potentially be found by anyone willing to look closely at their change. That possibility created a sense of adventure. Imagine finding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars hidden among ordinary pennies. That dream has motivated collectors for generations. But the story becomes even more interesting when condition enters the picture. Most 1960 D pennies experienced heavy circulation. They jingled in pockets, rattled through cash registers, and accumulated scratches, wear, and discoloration. High-grade examples, however, are a different story altogether. Coins preserved in pristine condition are far scarcer than their worn counterparts. A 1960 D small date with blazing original luster and virtually no imperfections can command significantly higher prices than a circulated example. Professional grading services carefully evaluate these coins, assigning numerical grades that help determine market value. The difference can be dramatic. A common circulated specimen may be worth only a modest premium over face value. But an exceptional mint state example can attract serious attention from collectors competing for the finest known examples. This pursuit of perfection has led to intense competition in the coin market. Over the years, high-grade 1960 D small date pennies have achieved impressive auction results. Particularly well-preserved examples certified at elite grades have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on eye appeal, rarity within the grade level, and current collector demand. These prices often surprise people unfamiliar with coin collecting. After all, how could a penny be worth so much? The answer lies in the combination of historical significance, collector interest, condition rarity, and the endless desire to complete high-quality collections. Yet the 1960 Lincoln penny has another layer of intrigue. Like many coins produced in enormous quantities, it is associated with various mint errors and striking anomalies. Error collectors constantly search for examples showing double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, die cracks, and other unusual production mistakes. When the mint operates at high speed, small imperfections can occasionally occur. These accidental creations often become highly collectible because they tell a unique story about the minting process itself. Some error examples involving 1960 cents have sold for substantial premiums, especially when the mistake is dramatic and easily visible. Such discoveries remind collectors that even a common coin can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. Another fascinating aspect of the 1960 penny is its composition. Before the major changes to Lincoln Cent metal content in later decades, these coins were made primarily of copper. Many collectors appreciate them not only for their historical value but also because they represent an era when U.S. cents contained significantly more copper than modern issues. Holding one today feels like holding a small piece of mid-century America. It witnessed a remarkable period of history. These pennies circulated during the Cold War, the space race, and the social transformations that defined the 1960s. Every coin has passed through countless hands, silently observing moments both ordinary and extraordinary. Perhaps it purchased a newspaper announcing historic events. Perhaps it rode in the pocket of a factory worker, a student, or a soldier. Perhaps it sat forgotten in a drawer for decades before being rediscovered by a collector. Those mysteries add emotional depth to the coin's appeal. Unlike many collectibles that remain untouched, coins actively participate in history. They travel, they endure, they survive. Today, collector interest in the 1960 Lincoln penny remains strong. Enthusiasts continue examining rolls of old cents, searching estate collections, and studying inherited coin jars in hopes of finding valuable varieties. The small date version remains especially desirable, while top-condition examples continue attracting premium prices. For beginners, the coin serves as an excellent introduction to variety collecting. It demonstrates how a tiny design change can transform an ordinary coin into a sought-after collectible. For advanced collectors, it represents an important piece of Lincoln Cent history and a challenging target in high grades. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about the 1960 Lincoln penny is how accessible its story remains. Unlike legendary million-dollar rarities locked away in museum collections, this is a coin that ordinary people can still encounter. Somewhere, right now, a forgotten jar of pennies may contain one. Somewhere, a collector is carefully examining dates under a magnifying glass, hoping to spot that distinctive small date variety. That possibility keeps the hunt alive. More than 60 years after it was struck, the 1960 Lincoln penny continues to prove that hidden treasures do not always come in gold or silver. Sometimes they arrive disguised as the smallest denomination in American currency. And that is what makes this coin so captivating. It is a reminder that extraordinary value can hide within ordinary objects, waiting patiently for someone curious enough to look closer. So the next time you see an old Lincoln penny, don't dismiss it too quickly. That tiny copper coin may hold a story, a mystery, or even a surprising value that has been overlooked for decades. The real question is this: if a valuable 1960 small date Lincoln penny were hiding in your collection right now, would you recognize it before someone else did? I still remember the moment when a seemingly ordinary penny turned heads across the coin collecting world. It wasn't made of gold. It wasn't centuries old. In fact, millions of them were produced. Yet hidden among countless pocket change coins was a small copper treasure that sparked excitement, speculation, and a relentless hunt by collectors. The coin was the 1979 Lincoln penny, and its story proves that sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding in plain sight. At first glance, the 1979 VDB Lincoln Cent looks like just another penny. It features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that had been used since 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Above Lincoln's shoulder sits a tiny letter D, indicating that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse is the iconic Lincoln Memorial design, which had appeared on pennies since 1959. Millions of Americans handled these coins without giving them a second thought. They jingled in cash registers, filled piggy banks, and disappeared into jars across the country. But as years passed, collectors began to realize that not all 1979 VDB pennies were created equal. To understand why, we need to travel back to the late 1970s. America was experiencing economic uncertainty, rising inflation, and rapidly changing technology. The United States Mint was producing enormous quantities of coins to meet demand. The Denver Mint alone struck more than 4 billion Lincoln cents in 1979. With such a massive production number, it would seem impossible for any coin from that year to become valuable. Yet coin collecting has always been about the exceptions. During the minting process, even the smallest mistake can transform an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after rarity. Dies wear down, machinery shifts, and tiny imperfections sometimes create extraordinary results. Collectors know that among billions of coins, a few unusual examples can emerge that become legends. One of the most discussed varieties associated with the 1979 VDB Lincoln Cent involves minting anomalies and exceptionally high-grade examples. While most surviving coins show signs of wear from decades of circulation, a small number remained untouched. These pristine pieces became the focus of intense collector demand. The difference between a common penny worth 1 cent and a collector coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars often comes down to condition. Professional grading services carefully examine coins under magnification, assigning numerical grades that reflect preservation and quality. For a 1979 VDB penny, reaching the highest grades is remarkably difficult. Think about it. These coins were produced in huge quantities and immediately entered circulation. Most acquired scratches, contact marks, and wear almost instantly. Finding one today that looks exactly as it did when it left the mint is surprisingly rare. As grading standards became more sophisticated, collectors discovered that top-tier 1979 VDB pennies were much scarcer than previously believed. High-grade specimens began commanding impressive prices at auction. Suddenly, a coin that most people ignored became a target for serious collectors. But condition is only part of the story. Over the years, collectors have searched through countless rolls of 1979 VDB pennies, hoping to uncover unusual errors. Some have found off-center strikes, die cracks, doubled features, and other minting anomalies. While many errors are minor, certain examples attract significant premiums because they are visually dramatic and genuinely scarce. These discoveries fuel the excitement surrounding the coin. Every penny carries the possibility of being something special. That possibility keeps treasure hunters searching through old collections, bankrolls, and inherited coin jars. One of the fascinating aspects of coin collecting is that rarity is not always obvious. A rare coin doesn't have to be ancient or made from precious metal. Sometimes rarity emerges because very few examples survived in exceptional condition. The 1979 VDB Lincoln Cent perfectly illustrates this principle. Collectors often compare thousands of coins looking for subtle differences. They examine the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the quality of the strike, the brightness of the original mint luster, and even the smallest contact marks. A single point difference on a grading scale can mean a dramatic change in value. This intense attention to detail has transformed certain 1979 VDB pennies into desirable collectibles. While circulated examples are generally worth only a small premium over face value, outstanding mint state specimens can sell for far more than anyone might expect from a humble penny. Auction records have repeatedly demonstrated the power of condition rarity. Top-graded examples have achieved prices reaching hundreds and, in exceptional cases, thousands of dollars. For many newcomers to the hobby, these results are shocking. How can a 1-cent coin become worth so much? The answer lies in supply and demand. Collectors competing for the finest known examples create fierce bidding wars. When only a handful of coins exist at the highest certified grades, demand can quickly exceed supply. As a result, prices climb dramatically. Another mystery surrounding the 1979 VDB Lincoln Cent is the number of valuable examples that may still be undiscovered. Unlike famous rarities locked away in museum collections, these pennies were released into everyday circulation. That means some potentially valuable specimens could still be sitting unnoticed in old coin jars, dresser drawers, or forgotten collections. Stories of lucky discoveries only add to the legend. There have been numerous cases where collectors found impressive Lincoln cents in inherited collections or rolls obtained from local banks. While most searches end with ordinary coins, the occasional discovery keeps the dream alive. Every collector hopes to be the person who finds a hidden gem worth far more than its face value. The Lincoln Cent series itself holds a special place in American numismatic history. It was the first regularly circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Before Lincoln appeared on the cent, American coins generally displayed symbolic representations, such as Lady Liberty. The decision to honor Abraham Lincoln marked a significant shift in American coin design. Because of this historical importance, Lincoln cents have attracted generations of collectors. Many begin their numismatic journey by searching penny albums, filling holes year by year. The 1979 VDB penny often becomes part of that adventure, especially for collectors seeking high-quality examples. As the years pass, the supply of pristine coins naturally decreases. Some become damaged, lost, or improperly stored. Others disappear into permanent collections. This gradual reduction can strengthen demand for surviving premium examples. Today, the value of a 1979 VDB Lincoln penny depends heavily on condition and any unusual characteristics it may possess. Worn examples are generally common. Uncirculated pieces with strong eye appeal are more desirable. Certified high-grade specimens can command substantial prices, especially when collectors compete for top registry set rankings. What makes the coin so fascinating is the contrast between its appearance and its potential value. To most people, it looks like an ordinary penny. Yet experienced collectors understand that hidden within seemingly identical coins are important differences that can dramatically affect worth. That contrast captures the essence of coin collecting itself. The hobby is not merely about money. It is about discovery, history, mystery, and the thrill of finding something extraordinary where others see only the ordinary. The 1979 VDB Lincoln penny reminds us that treasures are not always buried in pirate chests or hidden in ancient ruins. Sometimes they pass through our hands every day without notice. A tiny copper coin can carry decades of history, stories of American minting, and the possibility of an unexpected reward. So the next time you find an old penny in a drawer, take a closer look. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Study the details. Because somewhere among millions of ordinary coins, a remarkable survivor may still be waiting to be discovered. And that raises an intriguing question. If you opened an old coin jar today, would you recognize a valuable 1979 VDB Lincoln penny before it slipped away unnoticed? The penny in your pocket might look ordinary, but what if one small letter on a 1993 Lincoln cent could turn a single coin into a fascinating piece of American numismatic history? Millions of people have handled the 1993 VDB Lincoln penny without giving it a second glance. Yet hidden among billions of circulating cents are examples that collectors eagerly search for, hoping to uncover a rare error, an exceptional condition rarity, or a forgotten treasure worth far more than 1 cent. The story of the 1993 VDB Lincoln penny begins at the Denver Mint, one of the most important coin-producing facilities in the United States. In 1993, America was changing rapidly. The Internet era was beginning to emerge, and while technology was transforming the future, the U.S. Mint continued its centuries-old mission of producing the coins Americans used every day. Among those coins was the humble Lincoln cent, bearing the famous portrait that had become a symbol of American history. The Lincoln cent itself carries a remarkable legacy. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin's iconic profile of Lincoln remains one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. By 1993, the cent had already undergone several changes throughout its long history. The reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959. This familiar image showed the memorial in Washington, D.C., and if you looked closely enough, you could even see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the structure. It was a remarkable artistic achievement considering the coin's tiny size. The D Mint mark on a 1993 Lincoln penny indicates that it was struck at the Denver Mint. During that year, Denver produced more than 6 billion Lincoln cents. At first glance, that number seems enormous, and it is. Such a massive mintage means most 1993 D pennies are common and typically worth only a few cents above face value in circulated condition. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity is not always about how many coins were made. Sometimes, this treasure-hunting aspect gives the 1993 D Lincoln penny a unique appeal. Every coin carries the possibility, however small, of revealing something unusual. The minting process itself adds another layer of fascination. In 1993, Lincoln cents were composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating. This composition had been introduced in 1982 due to rising copper prices. Each blank planchet was manufactured, plated, and fed into high-speed presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute. The scale of production was astonishing. Day after day, billions of cents poured out of the Denver Mint, destined for circulation across the nation. Yet whenever production reaches such enormous levels, opportunities for mistakes inevitably arise. Collectors carefully inspect 1993 D pennies under magnification, searching for double dyes, repunched elements, unusual dye deterioration, and other anomalies. Although no major double dye variety from 1993 D has achieved the legendary status of famous Lincoln cent errors from other years, specialists continue to study and catalog minor varieties. Another factor driving collector demand is the Lincoln Cent series itself. Lincoln cents represent one of the most widely collected coin series in American numismatics. Millions of collectors attempt to build complete sets, requiring examples from every date and mint mark. This ongoing demand ensures that even common dates maintain a dedicated following. For advanced collectors, the challenge lies in assembling high-grade registry sets. These competitive collections feature the finest known examples certified by professional grading services. In this arena, tiny differences in quality can mean substantial differences in value. A 1993 D Lincoln penny graded in average mint state condition may sell for only a modest amount. However, when a coin reaches the highest certified grades, competition among collectors can become intense. Exceptional specimens have sold for hundreds and, in some cases, thousands of dollars at auction due to their rarity in top condition. That reality surprises many people. How can a coin with a mintage exceeding 6 billion become valuable? The answer lies in survival rates. While billions were produced, only a tiny fraction remain in near-perfect condition decades later. Every scratch, fingerprint, and contact mark eliminates coins from the highest grade categories. Over time, truly elite examples become surprisingly scarce. The 1993 D Lincoln penny also serves as a reminder that value in coin collecting often comes from details invisible to the casual observer. Two pennies may appear identical to most people, yet one might be worth a cent while another could be worth hundreds of dollars because of its condition, error characteristics, or certification grade. This hidden world of microscopic differences is what makes numismatics so captivating. Beyond its monetary value, the coin represents a small piece of American history. It circulated during a unique period when the nation stood on the threshold of the digital age. Every 1993 D penny witnessed everyday commerce, traveled through countless hands, and became part of millions of personal stories. Today, collectors continue to examine these coins with curiosity and excitement. Some search for pristine survivors. Others hunt for elusive errors. Many simply appreciate the connection to history that each coin provides. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. Among the billions of 1993 D Lincoln pennies produced at the Denver Mint, a few exceptional examples remain hidden in collections, coin jars, and forgotten drawers. Most will never attract attention. But every now and then, someone discovers a remarkable specimen that transforms an ordinary cent into an extraordinary find. The next time you come across a 1993 VDB Lincoln penny, take a closer look. What appears to be just another penny could hold a story of rarity, preservation, or even an unexpected minting error. In the world of coin collecting, treasures are not always made of gold or silver. Sometimes they are hiding in plain sight, disguised as the smallest denomination in American currency. So here's a question for you. If you found a jar filled with old pennies today, would you take the time to search through them, knowing that one overlooked coin could be worth far more than anyone ever imagined? The coin you're about to hear about looks almost identical to millions of other pennies that passed through American pockets in 1998. Most people would never give it a second glance. Yet hidden among ordinary cents is a mysterious variety that has sparked excitement, confusion, and endless searching among collectors. It's known as the 1998 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that has become the subject of countless treasure-hunting stories across the United States. At first glance, there seems to be nothing unusual about it. A portrait of Abraham Lincoln appears on the front, while the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly on the reverse. The date reads 1998, but then collectors notice something missing. There is no mint mark beneath the date. For many people, that discovery raises an immediate question. Could this penny be rare? Could it be worth a fortune? To answer that question, we need to travel back to the late 1990s, when billions of Lincoln cents were being produced every year. The United States Mint operated several facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Coins struck in Denver carried a D mint mark, while coins struck in Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark at all for Lincoln cents during that era. This simple fact creates one of the biggest misunderstandings in modern coin collecting. Many people discover a 1998 penny without a mint mark and believe they have found a rare error. In reality, most 1998 pennies with no mint mark were struck in Philadelphia and are completely normal. The Philadelphia Mint produced billions of them, making them among the most common coins in circulation. But the story does not end there, because while an ordinary 1998 no mint mark penny may only be worth a cent, certain examples have captured the attention of collectors and dealers across the country. The reason lies not in the missing mint mark itself, but in rare varieties and errors that occasionally escaped the mint's quality control process. One of the most famous discoveries associated with 1998 Lincoln cents is the wide AM variety. To understand why this matters, you need to look closely at the reverse side of the coin. At the bottom, the words America appear. On standard 1998 circulation pennies, the letters A and M in America are positioned very close together. However, a small number were accidentally struck using proof coin dies intended for special collector sets. These unusual dies created a wider gap between the A and M. To the average person, the difference seems tiny. To collectors, it represents one of the most exciting modern Lincoln cent varieties ever discovered. When the first examples surfaced, collectors were stunned. How had proof dies ended up striking regular circulation coins? Nobody expected such a mistake. Suddenly, people everywhere began examining jars of pennies, hoping to uncover this hidden treasure. As word spread, demand exploded. Coins that once circulated unnoticed became highly sought-after collectibles. A genuine 1998 wide AM penny in circulated condition could sell for many times its face value. Exceptional examples graded by professional services have reached hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on preservation and market demand. The excitement surrounding the variety transformed the humble 1998 penny into something much more fascinating than an ordinary 1-cent coin. But that wasn't the only mystery. Collectors also began reporting dramatic strike errors on 1998 pennies. Some displayed off-center strikes where parts of the design were missing. Others showed broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or dramatic misalignments. These errors occurred during the minting process when machinery malfunctioned or blanks were improperly fed into the presses. Each error told its own story. Unlike normal coins produced by the billions, error coins were accidental survivors. Most mistakes were caught and destroyed before leaving the mint. The few that escaped became prized collectibles, turning ordinary pennies into miniature historical artifacts. Imagine receiving a penny in change and discovering years later that it was worth hundreds of dollars simply because a machine malfunctioned for a split second. That possibility keeps collectors searching to this day. Another factor influencing value is condition. Coin collectors often use a phrase that sounds simple but carries enormous meaning. Condition is everything. A heavily worn 1998 penny may be worth only face value, while an identical coin preserved in pristine mint state condition can command significantly higher prices. Professional grading services evaluate factors such as luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. Coins receiving top grades are exceptionally difficult to find because even minor scratches or marks can reduce a grade. The challenge becomes even greater with modern pennies. Since billions entered circulation immediately, finding one that remained untouched for decades is surprisingly difficult. This creates an interesting paradox. The coin itself may be common, but a flawless example can become remarkably scarce. Throughout the years, collectors have submitted thousands of 1998 Lincoln Cents for grading. Most turn out to be ordinary examples. Yet every so often, a rare variety, major error, or superb gem-quality coin emerges from an old collection, reigniting excitement across the hobby. Stories like these fuel the modern treasure hunt. Unlike ancient gold coins locked away in museums, Lincoln Cents remain accessible. They can still appear in old piggy banks, coin rolls from banks, inherited collections, and forgotten jars sitting on shelves. That accessibility gives the 1998 penny a special appeal. Anyone can participate. You don't need vast wealth. You don't need expensive equipment. All it takes is curiosity, patience, and a willingness to examine the details others overlook. Perhaps that explains why Lincoln Cents remain among the most collected coins in America. They connect everyday people to history in a tangible way. Every coin has traveled through countless hands, witnessed changing eras, and survived decades of commerce. The 1998 Lincoln penny is part of that continuing story. Its design honors Abraham Lincoln, one of the most influential figures in American history. The Lincoln Cent itself first appeared in 1909, marking the centennial of Lincoln's birth. It became the first regularly circulating American coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure. By 1998, the series had already become a beloved collecting tradition spanning generations. Grandparents introduced children to coin collecting through Lincoln Cents. Families searched through rolls together. Collectors assembled date and mint mark sets. And every so often, a rare variety reminded everyone that valuable discoveries were still possible. Today, the market for 1998 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies remains active. Most examples are common and worth only face value or a small premium in uncirculated condition. However, authenticated wide AM varieties, significant mint errors, and top-grade specimens continue to attract strong collector interest. Auction records have demonstrated that rarity combined with exceptional condition can transform even a modern penny into a surprisingly valuable collectible. While most searches end with ordinary coins, the possibility of finding something extraordinary keeps collectors motivated. That sense of possibility is the true magic behind coin collecting. A penny may seem insignificant. It may sit unnoticed in a drawer for years. Yet hidden within a simple 1-cent coin could be a rare variety, a minting error, or a remarkable survivor preserved in nearly perfect condition. And that is why the 1998 Lincoln penny with no mint mark continues to fascinate collectors. Not because every example is rare, but because among millions of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary treasures may still be waiting to be discovered. The next time you come across a 1998 penny, take a closer look. Examine the details. Check the spacing in America. Look for unusual errors. Study its condition carefully, because somewhere out there, a seemingly ordinary penny could be hiding an extraordinary story. And now the question is, have you ever checked your spare change for rare coins? And if you found a 1998 Lincoln penny today, would you know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight? The coin sitting in a jar of spare change on a kitchen counter looked completely ordinary. It was a 2003 Lincoln penny, the kind of coin millions of Americans handled every day without a second thought. But what if that seemingly common penny was hiding a secret worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars? For coin collectors, stories like these are not fantasy. They are the reason countless people still search through old jars, piggy banks, and pocket change, hoping to uncover a hidden treasure. And among the coins that continue to spark curiosity is the mysterious 2003 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first glance, the coin appears unremarkable. It features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Millions were produced and many still circulate today. Yet the absence of a tiny mint mark beneath the date has led many people to wonder whether they have discovered something rare. To understand the excitement surrounding this coin, we must travel back to the early days of the Lincoln Cent. The Lincoln penny first entered circulation in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin quickly became one of the most recognizable pieces of American currency. Over the decades, Lincoln cents were produced at different U.S. mint facilities. To identify where a coin was made, mint marks were added. Coins struck in Denver carried a D, while coins produced in San Francisco typically carried an S. Philadelphia, however, often produced coins without any mint mark at all. This is where the mystery begins. When people discover a 2003 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, many immediately assume they have found an error coin. After all, shouldn't every coin have a mint mark? Surprisingly, the answer is no. In 2003, the Philadelphia Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies, and these coins were intentionally produced without a mint mark. In fact, a missing mint mark on a 2003 penny is completely normal if the coin was made in Philadelphia. This simple fact has disappointed many hopeful treasure hunters over the years. But the story does not end there. While an ordinary 2003 Philadelphia penny without a mint mark is usually worth only a few cents, certain examples have captured the attention of collectors due to their condition, unusual characteristics, or rare minting errors. The production of a penny begins with a blank metal disc known as a planchet. These planchets travel through massive presses where designs are stamped onto both sides with incredible force. The process is efficient, but it is not perfect. Every so often, mistakes occur, creating coins that become highly desirable among collectors. Some 2003 Lincoln pennies have been discovered with off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly aligned during production. Others display double strikes, die cracks, or dramatic die breaks that give the coin an unusual appearance. Collectors often pay significant premiums for these genuine mint errors because each one tells a unique story about what happened inside the minting facility on the day the coin was created. Another factor that dramatically affects value is condition. Most pennies spend years circulating through cash registers, vending machines, and pockets. They become scratched, worn, and discolored. But occasionally, a coin survives in pristine condition. These nearly perfect examples are graded by professional services using a numerical scale. A 2003 Lincoln penny without a mint mark that appears ordinary may be worth only 1 cent in circulation. However, if that same coin achieves an exceptionally high mint state grade, its value can increase dramatically. Collectors compete fiercely for top population coins because they represent the finest known examples of their type. Some high-grade 2003 Philadelphia cents have sold for hundreds of dollars at auction, not because they are rare in terms of mintage, but because they are rare in near-perfect condition. This idea often surprises newcomers to coin collecting. They assume rarity is determined solely by how many coins were produced. In reality, survival and condition can be just as important. Imagine billions of pennies leaving the mint in 2003. Now imagine how many have been damaged, lost, melted, or heavily circulated over the years. Finding one preserved in exceptional condition becomes far more difficult than most people realize. Yet perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the 2003 no-mint mark penny is the flood of stories it has inspired online. Videos, social media posts, and auction listings frequently claim that certain 2003 pennies are worth thousands or even millions of dollars. These headlines generate enormous excitement, encouraging people to inspect every penny they encounter. Sometimes these claims contain a small grain of truth. Genuine error coins can indeed command impressive prices. Extremely high-grade specimens can also achieve surprising auction results. But many listings exaggerate values or misidentify ordinary coins as rare treasures. This has created a modern treasure hunting phenomenon where millions of people examine their change, hoping to discover a life-changing coin. And occasionally that hope pays off. Throughout the history of coin collecting, remarkable discoveries have emerged from the most unexpected places. Rare coins have been found in pocket change, inherited collections, estate sales, and even forgotten jars sitting on shelves for decades. The possibility that an ordinary-looking coin could conceal extraordinary value is what keeps collectors searching. The 2003 Lincoln penny without a mint mark embodies that excitement perfectly. It is common enough to be accessible to everyone, yet mysterious enough to spark endless curiosity. There are also interesting details hidden within the coin's design. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse continues a tradition that began nearly a century earlier. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look closely at the memorial, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the building. A remarkable detail many people never notice. By 2003, the Lincoln Memorial reverse had become one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Just a few years later, it would be replaced by special bicentennial designs and eventually the Union Shield reverse used today. That means the 2003 penny represents the final chapter of a classic era in U.S. coinage. For collectors, this historical context adds another layer of appeal. The coin stands at the crossroads between the traditional Lincoln Memorial design and the modern Lincoln Cent series. It serves as a small but meaningful piece of American numismatic history. So what is a 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth today? For most circulated examples, the answer is simple: 1 cent to a few cents. Uncirculated specimens can be worth more, especially if they retain their original mint luster. Professionally graded coins with exceptional scores may sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars. Genuine mint errors can command significantly higher prices depending on their rarity and visual impact. The key is understanding the difference between an ordinary coin and a truly collectible example. Every year, collectors continue searching through rolls of pennies, examining dates, mint marks, and unusual features. They know that while most coins are common, one remarkable discovery can make all the effort worthwhile. And perhaps that is the real story. It is not merely a coin. It is a reminder that treasures are not always hidden in ancient tombs or buried beneath the earth. Sometimes they are hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. The next time you receive a handful of change, you might glance at those pennies a little differently. Among them could be a coin with an unusual error, exceptional condition, or a story that has yet to be discovered. After all, history has shown that extraordinary finds often begin with the most ordinary objects. So here's the question. If you found a 2003 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in your pocket today, would you spend it without a second thought? Or would you take a closer look and see if you might be holding a hidden treasure?